Guys, I figured it out. I've learned the secrets of the universe. Have you ever been smoking and you have this like moment of clarity? You get this epiphany and like all the dots start to connect. This week I learned that holding polarity is the key to inner peace. A few nights ago I was smoking and I had this vision. It was a torus, a toroidal field, you know, like the infinity symbol. And it was oscillating and generating the Mandlebrot fractal, the God fractal. By the way, I'm not claiming that this is some original revelation. I'm not Terrence Howard. This is nothing new. Many people understand this. This is just the moment that it really clicked for me, and I really got it. So for those who might not be familiar, a toroidal field is a donut-shaped flow of energy. It exists on all levels. It's found in an atom and the entire universe. In both woo-woo and science circles, the toroidal field is considered like one of the fundamental building blocks of all reality. In a lot of ancient spiritual traditions, it's like a self-perpetuating source of energy for all life. It generates the electromagnetic field that powers our cells and our bodies. So in my vision, it was polarity that spun the toroidal field. So kind of like when you put two opposing poles of magnets together, they repel, and you can set up an electromagnetic engine that way where the magnets will repel off of each other and just spin infinitely. This is like some of the stuff that Tesla was working on. Polarity creates those two poles, so light and darkness, good and evil, masculine and feminine. Those polarities pushing against each other is what creates the electromagnetic engine, basically, that runs everything from the smallest atom to the entirety of the universe. Resist, release, attract, repel, expand, contract, yin and yang. It felt like it was the pulse of the universe. So in my vision, the torus was spinning in several different dimensions, and it kind of had, it didn't look like a Merkaba, but it seemed like it kind of has that same kind of motion as a Merkaba. And then it seemed to hit like a certain like rate. Maybe it was like 1.21 gigawatts. Maybe Robert Zemeckis knew. So then as it's spinning, it like evolves into the Mandlebrot fractal, which is sometimes called the God fractal. It's a simple mathematical equation that creates complexity. I kind of feel like this is related to chaos theory. So maybe Michael Crichton knows too. So like the basics of chaos theory is that even things that look chaotic, if you expand your perspective enough, if you give enough context, you'll be able to find the patterns and that it's not actually chaos.
A butterfly can flap its wings in Peking, and in Central Park you get rain instead of sunshine.
Mandelbrot fractal is what some scientists believe is the algorithm essentially of this matrix that we live in. So in the vision, the polarity created the inertia that powered the toroidal field, that ran the Mandlebrot fractal, that powered the expansion of the entire universe. So like in this vision, I just kind of had this understanding that if I can hold two polarities, good and evil, light and dark, masculine and feminine, if I can hold them in balance, it creates harmony. And then I can have inner peace. Harmony or balance seems like not being in resistance to either pole, just kind of like being in non-resistance to everything. It's a very Buddhist concept. Our judgments of a particular pole, like say conservatives versus progressives, right? These are two poles, and generally speaking, people on either side, if you identify as a conservative, you're going to have judgments about progressives and vice versa. That judgment is a resistance. Resistance creates disharmony in our energetic field. And just avoiding triggers isn't enough. Just like I'm going to avoid conservatives, I'm going to avoid liberals. That's not enough because the resistance still resides in your body as long as you carry those judgments. The body keeps the score. The truth is that our judgments of other people are things that we resist about ourselves. So the key here is to accept that you have the potential to hold both polarities simultaneously. You, yes you, simultaneously hold conservative and progressive views. No one is purely conservative or purely progressive. It's really like a spectrum, and it's intersectional, so it's like a multidimensional spectrum. So when we judge someone who we want to resist as conservative, we're really rejecting the conservative part of ourself, creating a disharmony in our field, which eventually leads to physical disease. Holding the polarity means that I know that I am capable of both goodness and evil. If I lie to myself and pretend that I'm only capable of goodness, then I'm bypassing and leaving that negative energy in my field. And it's not about accepting evil as okay. It's about recognizing that we're all capable of good and evil and everything in the spectrum in between. And it doesn't speak to our value as a person. Simultaneously, I hold the Buddha and Hitler inside of me. Under the right circumstances and with the right traumas, I could be doing exactly what Netanyahu's doing, which is a scary thought to face. But negative poles power positive poles and vice versa. They need each other. We wouldn't even know what light was if it wasn't for darkness. So for instance, I've talked a lot on this app about how I was depressed, I was an alcoholic and a sex addict, and I was in a string of toxic relationships. But now I've been on the healing path for almost a decade, and I feel like I've dealt with a lot of my traumas, not all of them, and I don't believe the work is ever done. I don't think I'm enlightened. But I've done enough work now where I can look back, and because I remember what it felt like to be so depressed and so traumatized and so in my self-defense mechanisms that I was completely toxic, now I can appreciate the beautiful relationships that I have with other people, with my wife, that we were able to heal ourselves and our relationship. And because I have that contrast, I know what that felt like. I can appreciate the joy and the bliss and the unconditional love that we live in now. And that polarity drives me to continue to expand my consciousness, heal my traumas, heal whatever darkness I know resides in me. I've experienced that contrast. So now that's my work, is to hold the polarity. So when something triggers me or someone triggers me, I try to hold the polarity of whatever it is about them that is triggering me. I carry that same energy inside me. And so now can I look inside and see, where do I hold that energy? And then heal that. And then guess what? Then I can have compassion for that person who's triggering me. Once I've healed my wound, I can have compassion that, they're suffering from the same wound. So what do you think? Am I a rambling stoner, or did I hit on a truth of the universe? Let me know in the comments.